energy dependency. I think that's something which the American people seem to understand better, and I think it's important that we push that. I think the other thing that we need to push is the enormous economic opportunity for this generation of investing in energy, clean energy. It's massive. Obama talked about it in the election, but it seems to have been forgotten about in America over the last 2 years. Whereas China, they're putting billions into this, to the benefit of the world ultimately, but they really are romping ahead now of America.
It's really important that there is a real commitment, and of course the United States can't really do that.
But if they don't listen to the business community, it's up to the business community to just get on and do the job. And the reason we set up the Carbon War Room was that we just decided we couldn't afford to wait for governments to make their decisions. Let's set up a war room of business leaders run by entrepreneurs. Let's take the 25 sectors that are the biggest polluters of carbon, and let's work with those sectors, shipping, aviation, IT industry, cities, and let's work with each of those and try to get 17 gigaton of carbon out of those 25 sectors. And let's try to do it in a way that don't hurt those industries, but do it in an imaginative way that actually maybe save those industries money. And we found, over the last year, the Carbon War Room is really gaining traction. And I think that if given time and given a bit of help from governments with their taxation policies, we can get on top of the problem.
So my question to both of you is, you were saying in time, do we have enough time for an innovation to drive the market to where it really needs to be?
We don't know. I'd like to see us save a lot of the world. I like people, I am a person, but I'm also a citizen of the planet, and I love all the little critters. I mean, I like scorpions and snakes. I leave the snakes alone on my property. The rules are don't kill snakes. The only thing we kill is mosquitoes. It's going to be a race to see whether or not we make it or not. But we'll probably save something. I've read so much stuff on climate change, and over the last 20 years. And I remember one scenario is that we don't do enough to restrain it, and instead of 9 billion people, 8 billion of them have died, and we have 1 billion people on the planet, which is basically a desert from one end to the other. There are hardly any trees left. Remember, Easter Island was completely denuded of trees by people without fossil fuels. They just did it with stone axes. So we're trying to, the reason I'm here is to try and encourage everybody that wants to do something about it while there's still time to do that. And I'm doing everything I can. And I'm trying to encourage others to do the same.
We're getting the airline industry together, we're getting the shipping industry together, we're getting the IT industry together, we're getting the cities together. When you actually sit down and look at all the best ideas, what's happening in China, what's happening in Japan, what's happening in Vancouver, and you sit down just like as businessmen do and think, right, how can we drive 25% costs out of the industry, and how can we come up with ways of powering our energy in a clean way. We're bright, intelligent people. We should and can do it with enough determination. And if we can help governments help a little bit by, very simplistically, do not tax clean fuels, tax dirty fuels, put as clean fuels start getting 1% of the market, put 1% tax on dirty fuels. When clean fuels got 3% of the market, put a 3% tax extra on dirty fuels and so on, just to make the differential and encourage people to go for clean fuels. And then once clean fuels has got 50% of the market, well, the problem's solved, and you can start taxing clean fuels. And everybody's a winner. And it just seems like a blindingly obvious thing for them to do down the road there. Let's hope they do that, because that will help industry play their part in getting this problem solved.
Society bears the cost of carbon rather than the polluters, and that's basically wrong. 100 years ago there was an excuse for that, but there isn't today, because we know so much more. We have so much more information. And I agree. Richard's approach is a good one as far as taxes are concerned. We really need to have the financial incentives for clean, renewable energy, not for what we don't want, which is coal and oil, for lots of different reasons, pollution being the main one. But particularly in the United States, it's a national security issue, being so dependent on oil. And the world is a dangerous place right now.
You have a solar plant.
Well, we're really excited about it. We created a partnership with the Southern Company, which is the largest electric utility in the South, and either the first or second largest user of coal. But we've gotten, I've experimented with seeing, to get on the inside and work with them rather than oppose them on everything. And they own 90% of it. We own 10% of a $100 million solar electric facility that we've already made a deal for transmission with the local electrical co-op in New Mexico, and they also, the co-op also bought all of our power for the next 30 years, and we're turning it on right now. It only took a year to build it, and it will have it hasn't, nobody's been killed doing it. It was, which is an important thing if you're a miner.
We just need thousands of young people to go into trying to into the energy sector.
What motivated you to really take on climate change? Was it an experience? Was it?
Well, when I started CNN, it just rested with me. I was the one that made the decision to leave our news crew in Baghdad when the first Gulf War started, and we covered it from behind the lines. The first time in human history that a news organization had covered a war from behind enemy lines. So I thought a lot. I said, this is responsibility. You've got to think a lot. And it popped up after I thought about it. We've got to end the Cold War. We've got to get rid of nuclear weapons. And we have to take better care of the planet. Not just, there are a lot of other problems. The overfishing in the oceans, the oil spill. There's a lot of other environmental problems other than climate change. That's just one. You got to deal with all of them. I mean, it's, if you've got a good heart but you don't have a liver, you're going to die anyway.